Thank you. I have to be the most overdressed man in the heat here. I have an event tonight. And I have news for Pat. Osama bin Laden is dead and has been for the last 5 years at least. Otherwise, I would have seen him on Larry King. And Victoria Jackson may know nothing about politics, but she knows a hell of a lot more than they know on MSNBC. Just 3 years ago, you couldn't have caught 10 conservatives marching on Washington, or Republicans for that matter. They wouldn't be caught dead marching together, even with people who agreed with them, because that would be collectivist. And after all, we're all individualists. And this has frustrated me ever since I came out of the left 25 years ago. Because in politics, the ground war is really important. And the left has gotten most of what it has wanted out of this country by making a nuisance of itself. And so people just pay them off. So I consider the Tea Party movement the most important thing that's happened to conservatism in this country in my lifetime. You have to ask yourself, how did we elect, how did America elect as its president a man with no visible record except for facts that stare you in the face and demand you to reject him? A man who spent 20 years, well, it's not that he spent 20 years in the church of a racist, anti-Semitic, anti-American kook, but this was his closest personal, spiritual advisor. That Billy Ayers, who even when I was considered myself a Marxist revolutionary, I thought was an idiot. Billy Ayers, the shallowest person in the New Left, a unrepentant terrorist, his close political ally. A man who, well, you know, it's good that I find him, and it's a tough act to follow Victoria, but she went through the litany, who was trained by communists and Marxists. How did we elect him? And it's a really simple answer. The candidate, the Republican Party, and I don't want to make this about John McCain, because this would have been true of every Republican candidate. The candidate we had running against Barack Obama could not mention these things, could not make them the issue. There should have been outrage at the top. All of us, we can get up and we can speak. It doesn't matter. We can speak before 100 people. We can speak before 10,000 people. We can speak before 100,000 people. Fox News can speak to 5 million people. 130 million people vote. And only the top of the ticket, only the candidate, only the president can reach a significant portion of those people. And our party, because the Democratic Party has been so infiltrated by the left, it has been a left-wing party for 20 and 30 years, and I'm thrilled that this year, in part because of the Tea Party, but also because of people at Fox News, and particularly Glenn Beck, have finally stopped calling a bunch of vindictive bigots liberals. And started calling them socialists. We even have a Senator, Jim DeMint, who wrote a book about how the Democrats are trying to bring socialism to America. So suddenly I feel reality. And that's very tough to do in politics anyway. But this Tea Party movement, and I'm addressing you because you are the rank and file of the Tea Party movement. This is not about an election. This is about the next 10 elections. We are not going to solve this in one election. We need a movement. You know, the left has MoveOn.org, and they have pushed the Democratic Party so far to the left that John F. Kennedy, if he were alive today, would be considered a right-wing extremist, a militant anti-communist, a hawk on defense, the largest military buildup in peacetime history for a capital gains tax cut and a balanced budget. That's who John F. Kennedy was, a right-wing extremist. And what I love about what's happened among conservatives, is that people are no longer afraid to be called names. That's great.
That's right.
Be fearless. Republicans have always been intimidated by what the New York Times or the Washington Post says. It was actually Ronald Reagan's great virtue and the secret of his power that he didn't really care what the Washington Post and the New York Times said. This election, you're going to play a special role, which is poll watching. The Democrats steal elections all the time. Al Franken is a senator because of a stolen election. We have a racist Justice Department. That's another thing. Liberals are racists. And you know, I don't know if you've read the testimony of Chris Coates, but the Justice Department is on record, the top of the Justice Department, that they will not prosecute voter fraud unless it's committed by white people. And the head of the voting program there is black, and the top of the program is Hispanic. But they're not blacks and Hispanics, they're left-wing, socialist, crypto-communist blacks and Hispanics, which is what affirmative action means when the Democratic Party applies it. So you have to be at the polls and fight the ground war. I could say a lot of other things, but I really want to leave you with this, because you are an army in this struggle, and you have to see yourselves that way. And you're all very informed. You all know all the facts which John McCain ignored and which Vicki Jackson sang about. So the real difference here is in the mentality of how you conduct politics. For the Democrats, politics is war conducted by other means. Republicans have always been Mr. Nice Guy and Mr. Nice Gal.
Right.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't.
That's right.
No more bending over backwards.
More bowing.
And the political battle takes place not every 4 years and not every 2 years, but every single day.